A lot of songwriters spend decades pursuing what happened for you almost when you were coming out of the chute. So tell us a little bit about that day at your mom's kitchen table. And
So I wrote my first song that I ever wrote was my first freshman year in college. And this next song was my third freshman year in college. I was a slow learner. And I'd gone up to the University of Montana to go to forestry school. That was my dream, was to go study forestry and be a forest ranger in Montana. And so I went up, I did a couple years of school at West Texas State University in Canyon, because we lived in Amarillo. And then when I decided to make the move, I transferred up to the University of Montana. And that was my first ever really, I had been away from home. I was an exchange student in Switzerland for a summer, 1 year. And so I'd been away from home, but going off to college is a different thing. And so I came back home for that first Christmas break home. And, I don't know if you know this, but no matter how old you are, you will never not be your mother's kid. And I thought that because I had, a job at a truck stop and I was buying my own groceries, that all of a sudden I was this adult, and so when my mom, asked me something that felt like something she would ask her kid, I kind of got bitchy about it, for lack of a better word. I should have a better word for that, but I don't. And she said, you were out late last night, what were you guys doing? And I was like, oh, how dare you, And so I furiously scribbled this song out on my mom's kitchen table, in a notebook on my mom's kitchen table. And then I felt better. And that was the only time I ever wrote songs, was when I was wanting to say something and didn't know how to say it. And what I wanted to say was, back off, right? That's what I thought I was saying. And so then fast forward, I go back up, I feel better. I didn't have to hurt my mom's feelings by saying back off, win-win. And so I go back up to school, and a couple weeks later I get a care package from my mom, and it's got this notebook along with some other things that I had left at home, and I open it up, and there's these lyrics to this song that would become the song that gives me my own independence, right? And so I found I have a cassette tape that has the first 20 songs that I'd ever written, ever, and this is number 12 on that cassette tape. And so what that means, it was really awesome. And man, it was just such a big blessing to have that kind of a thing. That was like a lottery it was like buying a lottery ticket, really. But I was completely unprepared for what does that mean, And I didn't understand that the person that you were hearing sing on the radio wasn't the person that wrote the song, or that they weren't playing the instrument. And, I grew up in I hadn't even grown up in a singer-songwriter world, but singer-songwriters were who I was listening to, the person that you're hearing on the recording wrote the song, they're playing the instrument, they're singing it, they probably booked the gig and designed the poster and sent it to the venue. You know what I mean? That's our world. Yeah. And so I didn't understand what that meant to have a song do that. I was in a band called the Groobies. We were based in Amarillo, Texas, because I'd moved back. By this time, I'd moved back. I'm giving you the whole story.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I moved back down from Montana to Amarillo and started singing in this band, and we were putting out a record and wanting a producer. And Lloyd Maines was the closest and most appropriate producer for us. And coincidentally, at the time, his daughter Natalie had just auditioned to sing for the Chicks. And so they were looking for new songs. And this was one that he gave to both of his daughters. He has Natalie, and Kim is his other daughter, and she's a photographer. And, it's such a daddy-daughter song, or there's just such a daddy-daughter moment in that song, that he gave that to both of their daughters. And then the Chicks started singing it. And then when they got on their record deal, that was a song that they brought to their record producers and stuff to put on. And so it really kind of snuck in the back door and found its way and did all sorts of great, crazy numbers as far as songwriter, the way you quantify how good a song is by how many albums you sell, if that's indeed how we're going to quantify that. And they sold a ton of them, which is what allows me to wear this fancy shirt today. Real cotton, ladies and gentlemen. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey, and it's given me a little stamp on history, like that has at times been unmotivating. Like, well, my job here is done. You know, I'm gonna just relax and Netflix and chill with myself. You know.
Well, play that song for us, and then we'll kind of continue to unpack this.
Okay. Is this where you bring out the couch and I have to lay down and you get out a notebook and we...
Absolutely.
I've messed it up already, but you can't mess it up because I wrote it, right? Who doesn't know what I'm talking about? Who's never left home? Who's never struck out to find a dream and a life of their own? A place in the clouds, a foundation of stone. Many precede and many will follow. A young girl's dreams no longer hollow. It takes the shape of a place out west. What it holds for her, she hasn't yet guessed. She needs wide open spaces, room to make her big mistakes. She needs new faces. She knows the high stakes. She traveled this road as a child, wide-eyed and grinning, she never tired. But now she won't be coming back with the rest. If these are life's lessons, she'll take this test. She needs wide open spaces, room to make her big mistakes. She needs new faces. She knows the high stakes. She knows the high stakes. Knows the high. So when the chicks called and they said they wanted to do this song, they said, man, we really want to do this song. And I was like, that is incredible. Thank you. That's awesome. And they said, the only trouble is we got to cut out that third verse. Otherwise, it's going to be too long. And I was like, you can't cut out that third verse. And they said, well, if it's too long, they won't play it on country music radio and you won't make as much money. And I said, get rid of that third verse. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that third verse. So if you're a blossoming songwriter out there, I want to tell you, hold on to your integrity for not too long, though. But when you buy local, you usually get about 25% more than when you buy from the big guys. So this is the third verse. As she packs her things, she feels she left something out. Her friends, her family, her dog in this house. She turns around to find her old room bare. Looks at the U-Haul, it has to fit in there. And as her folks drive away, her dad yells, check the oil. That's how they say they love you. Mom stares out the window. She says, I'm leaving my girl. She said it did not seem like that long ago when she stood there and watched her own folks go. She needed wide open spaces, room to make her big mistakes. She needs new faces. She knows the high stakes. She knows the high stakes. She knows the high. Thank you.
Yeah.